Hello everyone, welcome to this week's I've Been Playing. Now, I haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks because I haven't really been playing anything new, there haven't really been any updates that I wanted to bring to your attention. But today, I'm going to talk about the game I've been playing most recently and I actually just finished yesterday, and that is Nier Automata. This is a game that was released in 2017, so I'm sure there's some of my audience that have already played it. I'm playing on Xbox One because, as with almost everything I've been playing recently, it's on Game Pass, and it's the Become as Gods edition, if that means anything to you. I don't care about editions because once they started doing, 6 different pre-order editions, I don't understand. I just want the game, I don't care about anything else, but it is also on PS4 and on Steam if you're interested. Now, this has been sitting in my library for quite some time. I actually started it a few months ago, and we'll get into why it didn't click with me the first time in a little bit. But the main reason I started replaying, or re-getting back into this, I suppose, is because I heard the news on Nier Replicant. I don't know if they're related, but it did remind me that this is a game that I needed to play. So I've played it now, and if it is related, that's great. The basic plot of the game is that it's very, very far in the future. I think it was like 3,000 years in the future, i.e. 5012 or something like that. I think it was 12. And basically humans have been living on the moon for millennia because they've been kicked out off the surface of the planet because of machines. Robots, all these little robots that you're fighting have taken over the Earth because of possibly spoilers, I don't know. So I'm not going to tell you where they came from or what they are. That is a big part of the story, so yeah, I don't want to spoil that. But there are robots everywhere, and they're hostile, mostly. When you start out, you're playing as an android, so androids kind of go down to the surface and fight the robots to make it kind of clear them out and make it safe for humans is the general idea. And you play as an android named 2B, which is very hard to not make jokes about constantly. And you also have helpers, so there are other androids around the area and then talk to you over, an intercom, not an intercom, like communicate with you. And then you also have your partner who's there with you, 9S. So as you're fighting your way through all of these enemies, you're beating them up, you're, attacking them, they're exploding into robot bits, and you're collecting their robot bits. You can kind of notice that something is a little bit off. It seems like they're evolving. They're starting to be able to talk, they can form sentences, it kind of sounds like they're actually saying things that make sense instead of babbling random nonsense, which is kind of how it starts out. It starts out like that, with just random words and stuff, and then it strings into coherent sentences as you move along. So like, when you get started, you'll see here on some of the footage, they say like, androids are scary, or just androids scary, 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 no, scared, things like that. They're like single words that make sense linked together but aren't sentences, and then eventually, some of them form phrases, some of them form sentences later on. So clearly there's something more going on here, and the androids, for most of the thing, basically refuse to acknowledge that this probably means that robots have sentience, but the whole thing is that the robots now have sentience. In terms of the actual gameplay, it's another big action RPG, but it wasn't nearly as long as I thought. I didn't do that many side quests, not entirely intentionally. I was gonna put some of them off a little bit and follow the main story for a bit, but some of them apparently got locked off, which I didn't know. It would have been nice. That was one thing I noticed. I would have liked to do more of the side quests, and I understand why they got locked off, because of the things that happened in the game. It makes sense. It's not one of those games that just, like, you can do the side quests anytime, whether it makes sense or not. So I appreciate that. At the same time, I would have liked to know that they were time-based, and that, hey, before they, like, not spoil anything, obviously, but say, hey, do this before this quest or it's gone forever, kind of thing. Also, the combat, I hesitate to use Dark Souls as a comparison, because it's a comparison for everything, but in terms of difficulty, that's definitely a good comparison, and I would say Nier Automata is too hard. The reason I started it a few months ago and then bounced off of it basically immediately is because I died before I could save, because at the beginning of the game, the boss fights are ridiculous. So normally I start on normal, because I figure that's the way the game is meant to be played. So I started this on normal, and it was incredibly hard. I died really hard to the first boss. And the boss for this tutorial, I mean, look at this thing. It's a giant whirling, it's not a saw blade, it's like a digger blade, and you fight it so many times. You fight one of them, and then you run a little farther, and then you fight two of them at once, and then it grows into like a building-sized freaking Gundam, and then two of them, I think, appear at some point, and this isn't the tutorial. This is the tutorial boss. I don't care if you're in some flying machine for part of it. It's the tutorial boss. It's ridiculous, and it's ridiculously hard, and it completely wiped me out the first time I played, and I was like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this because this is ridiculously unbalanced. That said though, when I played it this time, I put it on easy because obviously it's easy, normal, hard, I think, unless you unlock more with multiple endings, and there are a lot of multiple endings, let me tell you. they're lettered, that's how many there are. Not important. The point is, I switched it to easy, and then it was too easy. Like, to the point where I was just wrecking everything, basically constantly. I think I died twice, and that was only because I wasn't watching the environment. It wasn't because I got killed by enemies. It wasn't because it was difficult at that point. I was slicing my way through everything, and it was ridiculously easy. So it would have been nice if there was a balance between, like, basically impossible to even start the game versus I'm not dying, you know? I don't want to die a lot, but I want to feel like there's some sort of challenge, and it didn't feel like that eventually. In terms of dying, it kind of does that thing where it leaves your body behind and you have to go collect stuff. As I said, that only happened twice, I think. I only collected it once because I couldn't find it the second time because of where I died, but you have to collect stuff. It didn't seem to impact that much. I didn't really lose items, it looked like. I didn't notice because I checked, because I thought it said you lost items, and you don't. You lose some of your operating system chips. So because you're an android, you have your upgrades are chips that you slot in to your memory, and so you can get different things that way. And you also only have so much space because, you know, things take up space on a hard drive or whatever. So that's how you upgrade and get boosts and benefits and stuff. That's what you lose when you die. That's what it looked like. And a lot of the things you get duplicates of, so it's not even a big deal, really, from what I can tell. Maybe on harder difficulties, it's a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal for me. I think that's about it, really. As I said, I have completed the full game. I am going to show a little bit of there's an amusement park bit that you go into. I'm going to be showing some of that footage over here because it looks really, really cool, and it was a lot of fun, and this is kind of one of the places where there are a lot of those enemies that aren't actually enemies. Like, you can just walk by a lot of stuff, which is kind of cool, and just leave it alone because it's not attacking you. Not all of it is attacking you. You can just leave it alone and it's fine. And you just keep on walking, but you get to, like, go, well, you go on the rides, but you don't actually get to ride them. You, like, jump over the cars, and you're standing on top of a roller coaster, which is a bad idea, kids, don't do that. And you're going through, and then eventually you get to fight this absolutely ridiculous boss. I don't want to spoil anything further than that, though, so I don't have any clips later than that. I'm not gonna show you anything else or talk about anything else. Just the things, I did really enjoy myself. For the most part, I think. The two things that I didn't like very much were that I ended up making it too easy for myself. I like some challenge. I don't want it to be completely easy, but the normal mode was too difficult, so something in between that would have been nice. And also, knowing the side quests would get locked off. Oh, before we go, I said I completed the game. That's not entirely true. If you have played it, you'll know what I mean. But as I said, I'm not gonna spoil anything. So, I am sort of still playing it, even though the story is technically over. Alright, thank you for joining me for this analysis of Nier Automata. Have you played it? What do you think of it? Do you think you'll try it out now? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if Nier Replicant is actually related to this or not, I don't know. And I will see you next Monday. Bye!